The 5 biggest mistakes I made in my singleness, and let's go.
We going?
I think we're going.
Come closer to me, babies.
Welcome back to the channel.
Babies, that's not how we welcome them. Welcome back to our channel.
Hello. So, if you click the video,
Oh gosh.
you just want to know. Hey, listen, I would want to know too. You know what I mean? I wish someone would have told me these things back years ago before the old, you know what I'm saying? Anyways.
Guys.
People probably did tell me these things. I didn't have ears to listen.
Or eyes to see.
Or eyes to see.
Or a heart to receive.
So, oh my goodness.
Wait, babe, can I preface this for a sec?
Preface.
Okay, if you haven't watched the singleness series on this channel, you definitely should. This is part 4 of the singleness series, and you wanted Chatty to be a part of the singleness series. Because he has some good advice, y'all.
Sometimes. If you wonder why I keep sinking, it's because our bed is so comfortable. And I just it's like, receive me. All right. Perfect.
Perfect.
The camera's perfect.
Oh, babies, I just love you.
All right, let's get to it, babies.
Let's just hop on into it.
If you all were to ask me what mistakes I made in singleness, I would say that there are 5 things that I made a mistake on in or with. The 5 biggest mistakes I made in my singleness, and let's go. I just want you guys to know that this advice is going to be based off of what I believe as a Christian, and so some of the advice is going to be spiritual and some of it's going to be kind of practical, so just receive it like that.
First off, I have no idea what he's about to say.
Ooh.
So I'm learning this about him as well.
Babe, this video is about me. Don't forget.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Go.
Number 1. I felt like I was less than whenever I was single. That's probably my biggest one. I'm sure you've heard me say it in this on these videos before. I had an idol of marriage. I idoled it. I wanted it more than I wanted God's will for my life. I wanted my will, not his will, but also kind of his will, but mainly mine. That's kind of the way I negotiated with it. And I had several friends call me out for it, which sucked. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate you. That's probably my number 1 biggest mistake, is I felt like I was less than. And that caused me to basically do the next 4 things that I have in my little list. One of those things I did whenever I was feeling less than, I didn't feel whole. I guess that's kind of the whole premise of whenever I was single. I felt like I was lacking something, and so that caused me to start to self-medicate. I felt like there was something wrong, so I took it into my own little baby hands to try to fix it. I self-medicated, and I developed terrible habits. And I'm using the word terrible there for a reason, because I want you to know how dramatic it is. I developed some terrible habits that would not only affect my future dating relationships, but also my marriage. And it all stemmed from this little piece of a hole in my heart it was a God-shaped hole that I tried to fill with a relationship. And I try to fix it on my own.
Can I just add a little nugget?
Yep. Little nugget. It's not all about me. I'm finding that out slowly but surely.
No, I just want to tell you how right you are. And I feel like when you say I wasn't whole, it's because pop culture says I want to find my other half. You know?
Yeah.
And it's no, I'm already a complete person.
I am complete.
With
you
Jesus.
Complete me. Don't say that to your spouse. Say that to Jesus. Am I right? So the second thing that I did, the second mistake, was, in addition to me starting to self-medicate, I lowered my standards. And because I was in such a hurry and to get into a relationship, I was willing to hop in almost any relationship. I was willing to totally ignore red flags of that this person's not good for me, or maybe I'm not even good for them, who knows. I was willing to basically take the fast pass. I feel like I robbed a Disney fast pass.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I just feel like I robbed a fast pass, and then you get to the ride and you realize the ride's broken, and you're just like, I did all this, I did something wrong, and look what's happening now.
Yeah.
But I was willing to. I basically lowered my standards so much of anyone that I was willing to date and pursue marriage with, and that was a bad call. That leads me to my number 3 point, which is I started to develop soul ties. And whether I was dating somebody or whether I was alone, I was just like a habitual, I want attention. I think Riley said that in her singleness thing, that, what'd she say? I'm addicted to...
Male attention.
I'm addicted to female attention. And so even though I was single, I was filling my void by texting as many people as I could, trying to go on dates, doing whatever. And I started to develop romantic soul ties with people that weren't my wife. And that not only affected, again, my future dating relationships, it also affects my marriage. Wow, I just love how all these kind of stem off of each other. It starts with the root and then it trickles on down from there. I was not in a position to protect someone else's heart, to protect my own heart, and to protect my future marriage, Lord willing. It happened though, am I right? Now, number 4, I'm like going, this thing is really tight on my finger. I'm going like this way. The number 5 is gonna be my thumb. Okay, number 4 is the pinky. Number 4.
Wait, you're going what way?
This way, because I did
And
number
then-
1.
Oh, and then our background.
And then this will be like
Okay,
number
okay,
5, right?
Got it.
I think so. Ooh, okay. Number 4. I did not take advantage of my singleness. Because I looked at it as something to be fixed, I didn't look at it as something that's actually good, you know? And I missed out on so many opportunities to not only discover who I am as a person more deeply, to pursue God deeper, to develop better friendships, to feel comfortable alone. That was a hard one. I wish I would have spent more time practicing just being comfortable, because obviously whenever we have a problem, we just want to fix it rather than just kind of sit in it. And it turns out the solutions that I was proposing to solve my problem of singleness were creating more problems for me. And that sucks. Like that's not a good one.
So true.
And so it turns out the solution would have probably been sitting in my sadness and my loneliness and my depression, sitting in all those feelings I was having, you know, over time, and being okay with it a little bit. Like, you ever heard the phrase, it's okay to not be okay? And then learn how to process those things with God specifically. In addition to me not taking advantage of my singleness, there's even some physical things, because whenever I married Tori, I had to learn how to lay down my life for her. It says, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. And guess what? He died for her. And so when I was single, I didn't have that responsibility. And not that that's like a bad responsibility at all, but I had an opportunity just to travel more, to have more free time to myself. I had all that type. And so don't take that for granted. And so that takes me into my number 5. There we are, my number 5, which is I moved too fast. Oh my gosh, I just wish that I were so confident in myself as a person and what I brought to the table that I wasn't willing to settle for anything less. But instead, because I was so desperate to be in a relationship, I would just jump into something that was unhealthy, which would cause problems for me in the future. So a friend of mine would always say, I would rather be single and happy than with someone and miserable. And that's a true statement, because whenever you're signing up for a relationship, you have to understand that these things can be pretty hard sometimes. Like, it takes work. It shouldn't feel like work, but it takes work. And I thought it was gonna fix me. And I guess kept jumping into different things. I was so desperate for it that if I would have moved slower, I would have been able to see who people really are. And by the way, I probably negatively impacted all my previous relationships more than the other person. So I just this is not like, okay, Chad's gonna poo-poo on his exes. That's not this at all. But I just want you to know that, like, if I would have slowed down and if I wouldn't have been so desperate for a relationship, I would have been able to see by people's actions what they really think about me and how they feel about me, because I wouldn't be so mesmerized by the fact that I'm in a relationship. I just wish I would have been more confident in myself to say no where I should have said no, to say yes where I should have said yes, and the wisdom to know the difference, I guess, or the courage to actually make those decisions. And there's probably another 30 other big mistakes I could name, but those are just 5 big ones, and I like how they kind of go in line with each other.
Okay, so I just want to add just a little. Something I was thinking about when he was talking, and something I've been talking to my girlfriends about recently, is not putting the temporary above the like long term, right? And so right now in your singleness, it's so easy to get, I don't know, mesmerized by those temporary things. That person who's right in front of you, but you know might not be the one. Kind of how he was saying he would rush into a relationship because like that person was right there and he wasn't thinking like long term. And I think that even goes into physicality, right? It's like temporary satisfactions and we're not thinking long-term consequences.
If I could go in just for a quick second, give an analogy that I like to give about soul ties, because it sounds so Christian-y almost, you know, it's just like, oh, I developed soul ties with them. You know, it's just like, it sounds so spiritual, it sounds so deep, but like, just so you can like visualize it, the way I explain it to some of my friends is that, so imagine that you're a person and you're traveling and you have a suitcase. The suitcase is pretty empty, right? It has a shirt, shoes, pants, whatever, right? And then you meet someone that you potentially want to date and you're like, hey, you want to go on a date with me? And they're like, for sure. And then you guys...
like Kevin.
Nice. Lord. I could quote Kevin all day.
Yeah, sorry.
Give me kisses. So basically, you have this suitcase, and then you start dating this person, right? And then you have your first kiss. Take a hat and put it in the suitcase. Then you guys go on a picnic together. Take a new pair of shoes and put it in the suitcase, right? But then you're like, hey, I want to go to the East Coast. And they're like, oh, I want to stay out here. So you break up, then you go somewhere else. You end up on the East Coast and you meet someone out there. And you're like, man, I would love to just go to the beach. Put a swimsuit in there and put some flippers too. And then you get to meet their parents. And then guess what? Put a sweater in there. And then you're like, you know what, it's time for me to go to New York. And they're like, well, I'm gonna stay here with my family. So then you go to New York and then you meet someone else. And then you're out making great experiences with them. Say you just wanna go see the Statue of Liberty. And then so you have to put on a big puffer jacket, right? Because it's so cold. And then whenever you're going to pack it up in your suitcase, it won't fit. There's too much stuff in your suitcase. So then you're like, oh, well, I'm gonna take out these flippers and these goggles. And then your spouse is like, wait, what are those? I don't remember that. And then you take out that hat and she's like, whoa, hold on. What was that? I didn't know about that. I didn't know you had that. And then it's just, that to me is like a little symbol of like a soul tie. Because it shows different experiences and levels of intimacy that you've experienced with someone else. And it's baggage. It's exactly what it is. And that's not to say that you can't get into a relationship with them. Because guess what? We both did, right? We
brought our own little suitcases.
We both had our own little suitcases.
We had to unpack them together.
But we had to unpack them together. You had to make sure you're with a person who's mature enough to be able to handle your crap, right? Excuse my French, but like she had to trust me that I was willing to handle her crap too. And so that's my little analogy regarding soul ties. And it's just to know that like, it's not that you shouldn't be having fun experiences with people and kind of dating, because I actually do believe in dating. And so, but it's to date responsibly, right? You know, it is. You should date responsibly. And we're going to make another video on that, about dating responsibly.
Yeah, I like that.
What is this for, Bibbas?
I know.
So
I had coffee and I have a lot of energy.
So in order, I believe, I hope, I needed to learn that I was full in Christ alone. Okay. The second one, I needed to look at the way that I was self-medicating. So if you ever have an issue in your life and you try to fix it, make sure that the way you're trying to fix it is actually helpful. And so that was really important for me, is to actually make good decisions, like,
good community, mentors.
Like, so something I learned in one of my master's program, and I'm gonna say this super quick, is that if you look at someone who's an alcoholic, right? They didn't just become an alcoholic the first day they drank, right? And so it became a problem. So imagine there's this boy who's 17 years old and he loses his father. Then he starts hanging out with the older crowd and he starts drinking at age 18. And by 25, he's a full-blown alcoholic because he's just drinking nonstop. But why was he drinking? Mostly to numb his pain of his emptiness that he feels because he doesn't have his father around. Fast forward to when he's 55, he doesn't really think about his dad anymore. And now the thing that was a solution to his problem, it was to numb his hurt that he was experiencing, is now the problem. That's the thing he needs to fix. So what once was a solution is now a problem. And so as you're looking at ways that you may self-medicate whenever you don't feel good enough, or you don't feel enough, or you feel lack, or you feel pain or whatever, make sure that the solutions are smart ones. And we can talk more about that another time.
That's good.
Soul ties are real. Enjoy your singleness. This is not something that should just be endured. This should be enjoyed. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Marriage is great. Love marriage. But looking back, I should have enjoyed my singleness and not looked to just fix it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that does not mean just like party and go hook up with everyone else. It just means,
yeah, I should have clarified
like,
that.
it just means like you live your life to the fullest, travel, run after God, and let the other person meet you along the way.
Yeah. Become a better you during that time. You know, you have all this time to really do what you want to do. And so
nothing is more attractive than a person who is living their life to the fullest and loves the Lord.
Thank you, babies.
Thank
you, babies. This is the last one. Don't move too fast. You have time. Don't rush into anything. It's not worth it. You know, it's almost like if someone wants you to buy a car. They're like, we'll give you this deal right now. You need to make a decision. You know that feeling you have in your stomach, like, oh, this feels wrong?
And I did that.
Yeah, with the car. With an actual car, not a person, metaphorically speaking.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't rush. You can move at it can be like a brisk walk, like that, but just don't run. That was actually a walk for me because I have really long legs. Ow.
Big.
Yeah, I don't know if this helps or not, but those are 5 mistakes. Those are 5 mistakes I made in my singleness that I wish I wouldn't have. Anyways, hope you enjoyed it. I gotta go.
Hey, you guys.
Hey.
We just want to thank you because today we hit 30K. 30,000 of you guys want to watch our videos. That honestly just, what? Crazy.
Yeah.
Y'all are amazing. Oh, and if you want to connect with us further, don't forget to follow us on Instagram because we love hearing your stories.
Hi, my name's Chad, and you can find me at Chad Masters. Have fun with that one, babies.
He did that on purpose.
Her name is Tori Masters. You can follow her at Tori Masters. Sorry. If you want to like it, click there. Like all over there. Hey, thank you guys for being a part of our life. Thank you for letting us be a part of your life.
We love you.
We love you a whole lot.
We'll see you in the next video.
And don't forget.
Oh! All of you should go watch The Chosen because it's
Chosen.
really good.
Yeah. It was. Bye. It's too small. You haven't left yet? Oh, is it because you're aware that we put little funny things at the end of videos? Thanks for sticking around.
Nice.
Purpose.
You didn't even kiss me.
Because you got shiny stuff on your lips. I don't want people to see you with
it's in
shiny
our
lips.
vows.
See, I told you, relationships take sacrifice.